zip file is in your Files tab in the campus site. We looked at it yesterday and we did a lab 2, which is listed here for the mitosis slide. Look at some of this. I'm going to do this like that. That's better. Okay. When you look at your slides 69 and or 70, mainly it's 70, you're going to see these little things that look like spider eggs. Those are glomeruli. And when you look at the glomeruli in the kidney, you're going to see around it these tubular structures cut transversely. Those are going to be, and they look more like triangles and cubes, but because they have these spherical nuclei, this is a single cell, we call this simple cuboidal epithelium. Okay, make sense? When you look at your slide 34, or some of your slides 4, you'll see all kinds of tissue here. This is the lumen. Here's some areolar connective tissue and some cartilage we'll talk about tomorrow, but this is what I'd like you to look at today. You also, how many have done histology before of any kind? If you see pink slides, that's acid stained. Blue slides are basic stained. I'll never ask you that, but the point is, you need to know structure, not color. So all your slides are stained the same. Some of these are stained opposite. So don't memorize colors. Does it make sense? So this is obviously an acid stain. It's pinkish. So when you look at this, you can see this weird layering. Every cell has a connection to this basal lamina. I told you I wouldn't ask you lamina lucida or lamina densa, and I won't. But I will ask you this tissue type specifically, which is pseudostratified, ciliated columnar epithelium. See, these are longer cells, and they've got egg-shaped nuclei. This is another example of simple columnar epithelium. Columnar epithelial cells have a north and a south pole, and generally the nucleus is going to be at the south pole by the basal lamina. I'll ask you generalities. If I say, what of the 4 tissue types, what is this? What's the answer? Epithelium. Specifically, it's simple columnar epithelium. This is a beautiful picture. This is, and you can't say identify the tissue. That's ridiculous. There's so much going on there. It looks stratified here. I'd go to a very specific spot based upon the angle of cut on the microtome. This is actually simple ciliated columnar epithelium. So I'd say identify structures. See the cilia? Then I'd say identify the tissue specifically. Here, it's simple ciliated columnar epithelium. So these are columnar cells. This is areolar connective tissue. This happens to be in the fallopian tube. I said I won't ask you where they are, but in your slides 4 that say fallopian tube, this is what you'll see. That's another simple columnar epithelium. Okay, this is actually okay too, because this shows you here simple columnar epithelium. These are microvilli. You won't be asked microvilli on lab test 1 because it's hard to tell that's what those are, right? Because you've got the mucus film. So simple columnar epithelium. You'll do that on slide 40. When you look at slide 40, you'll see cross sections of the duodenum jejunum, and you got to find the lumen and then look for the cells. And I'll help you do that as I walk around. This is a gorgeous image of your kidney slide, slide 69 or 70. And I would say identify this tissue specifically. And the answer is simple cuboidal epithelium. Somebody say, well, why isn't it stratified? Because there's more than one layer, because these are tubes cut in cross section. Okay? So simple cuboidal epithelium. I don't see the squamous epithelium there. It's another example of simple cuboidal epithelium. Yes, these can be on the exam. No, they won't be labeled. But I've done that before. I've left labels. This is neat. This looks like it's stratified, but it's not. These are 2 tubes, actually 2 structures, the follicles cut basically. So this is simple cuboidal epithelium. You see how that looks like an egg? This is simple squamous epithelium, not labeled on the slide. This is a better example. See this parietal layer? Remember visceral and parietal we already talked about today? This parietal layer in the kidney glomerulus that you don't need to know is the kidney glomerulus. But they look like fried eggs. This is an example of simple squamous epithelium or simple squamous epithelial tissue. This is not, that is not. Those are different things. That's an ugly view of simple squamous epithelium because you really can't tell what it is. Same thing, it's been a while since I saw that. Okay, this is even better. This is a basic stain, trachea. There's cartilage we'll talk about next week, but here is pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. I said I wouldn't ask you transitional epithelium, but I'll show you. It actually changes its appearance from this columnar type to a squamous. Now I'm going to jump to another section. Okay, ready? You've got slide 1, which is esophagus, but I'll show you here. When you're looking at the stomach, there's different kinds of stuff you'll have to learn later, but we're looking at this area in the esophagus, which is before the stomach. That's not good enough. It's right there. Gotta get closer. Keep going. Yeah, this is perfect. Your slides look like this. So this is the lumen of the esophagus. This we'll learn about mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, externa, and adventitia some other day. Now just focus here. This is stratified squamous epithelium. So slide 1, esophagus, stratified squamous epithelium. I won't ask you where it's found, but I can certainly say identify this tissue specifically. And it's simple squamous epithelium. Sorry, stratified squamous epithelium. Why keep doing that? That's not good enough to ask you here. This is even better, but it's confusing because that looks like the lumen, right? It's not. The esophagus is twisted back on itself. So knowing that, and I would never ask you what's the orientation, but there's the lumen. Here is the layering. So this is stratified squamous epithelium. That's the best slide of that, of the lumens. I think that's probably all I need to ask you yet. So today, as you look through stuff,